Coming up next, we got Worcester, y'all. Make some noise for Worcester, y'all. Keep it coming, y'all.
The china cabinet shook in untouched terror like the tremors in my sister's wrist. Pictures of my grandmother laid out across the table, lifeless like Frankenstein's monster. She died in her sleep. And so we sat shiny-toed in her memory the day after. The TV spoke in tongues while my uncle's lisp lay listless like wasps in a winter window. My mother's heart, a beating hornet's nest, all that spit and pulp. Between commercials for Viagra and 2 easy payments of $19.95, sobs came from the kitchen that nobody answered, and so they were stuffed into the fridge behind the milk. We walked on bombshells with minesweeper feet, Sasha's bark, biting into the carpet to bury beneath the burden of comforting those who would walk all over it. I remember the story I had heard of fishing line being strung down into a casket leading up to a bell above ground so that if the deceased were not actually dead yet, they could ring the bell to let somebody know they'd been buried alive. Down the hall, at the quiet spaces at the edge of conversation, paced Sasha, the bell on her collar ringing like an SOS, and so I tore it off her neck and hid it in the drawer with the utensils, where all the dead metallic things could mourn together. It's funny how a drawer can look a lot like a living room. Out the window, I saw that the mailbox was filling with lawyers. Briefcases and yellow envelopes, all but screaming to be taken inside, ripped open, spilled onto the countertop. My cousin sat, table-mouthed, staring at the TV screen, surrounded by relatives wearing faces like flower arrangements, thinking, who will get the money? And who will get the money? Yes, who will get the money? And who will get the money? And the children in the backyard didn't know what to think, so they dug their ostrich fingers into the sandbox while tugging at their ties tight against their necks, as if even their breath feared death. It was not their mother who was left like a hinge, who was left deaf like a reef. It was not their mother who sat between sisters like Russian dolls holding back prayers. I tried to make small talk that fell short after every sentence until I wanted to scream, my crop failure mouth turning everything around me into pestilence, so I stayed silent and just listened. Out of all the words being spoken, sorry was the one that everyone avoided. It's the silence that counts. When my mother's family was growing up, their tongues would turn to pillars of salt if they talked back. And now, talking about the past, our mouths dry up like a sandbox, small fingers pushing through to our molars.